to Mrs. Stein. No, I moved my family to Los Angeles with the thought that I would never be there.
You mean physically?
Physically, from Canada. And now I find myself in Los Angeles every second week, and we're just into the same hassle we all live.
Where do they live in L.A.? What area?
My mother lives across, it's really interesting, there's a big Reformed temple in Los Angeles.
They like to stay close to God.
Yeah. Well, no, close to the temple.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about it is that in Los Angeles, I think there's this rabbi who went to school for 12 years to get his degree of rabbinics. He has a degree of Hebrew literature. He went to Hebrew University for 4 years to get an MA in English literature, comes to Los Angeles, has the leading congregation, and as people pass by, they say, "That's Buddy Hackett's shul."
That's funny. Hold it a minute. Back in a little while.
That's so true.
That's funny. Listen, we've agreed. You're going to call his mother, and then you're going to try to make contact with the Steinberg folks.
Right behind the temple, Buddy Hackett show.
Right, right behind Buddy Hackett. What was growing up like in terms of, could you date non-Jewish girls? Was that tolerated?
No.
When you were in high school, college?
I was engaged to a non-Jewish girl, and my
With your
parents
mother's
really,
blessing?
I really have to hand it to them. They really were terrific. There was a little trembling at first, but they were wonderful. And then we broke up, and then I got engaged to Nora, and there was such a feeling of relief. They clasped her to their bosoms, both bosoms, and they love her so much. They love her more than me. But I can understand that. She's a lot more attractive, lovable person
And
than I am.
you've earned a certain amount of their anger
And
over the years.
yes, no, but I think it's terrific. And no, what was your question?
Yeah, you've answered it. Were you folks strict, Mel, in terms of who you could see and how late you could stay up? Be home by
No, but you had to smack that mezuzah on the way in. A mezuzah is a... Oh, well, it's complicated.
Explain what a mezuzah is.
Well, actually, the Torah, or the most significant, I think it's the Ten Commandments, actually, are written in a little tiny scroll. They're put into this little metal house, and this little metal housing is screwed in or nailed into the side of the door. And you kiss that on the way in, it more or less blesses your household, or at least there is some deference paid to the fact that it is a sanctified place.
It's to symbolize the time when the 10 plagues occurred in Egyptian times. They had to rub the blood on the doorpost so that the angel of death would pass by the Jewish homes because they were living. So it's a symbol of that.
I'm glad you...
Right on.
Well, I didn't ask the first time I heard
Right.
that. We didn't have a mezuzah. We
No,
just had a
and-
door.
and your
But you had a bowl of
personality-
fruit.
We had a bowl of fruit. A definite
I didn't have any
It's as good as a mezuzah.
There were no doors in
No, I
this
had
house.
no
There was
door.
nothing to hang the mezuzah.
I do.
But with all the strictness of your mother, she said, Mel, go out tonight, enjoy yourself, come home at any hour. I mean, you were given that kind of
She
license?
was so busy cleaning. Who knew? She was washing floors, oilcloth. I mean, there was no pattern anymore. There were just cracks. But she'd clean. She'd clean from morning to night. She'd fold blanket. I mean, the bedding. I mean, they're little Tarzans. They're little King Kongs, these Jewish ladies. They're all Jewish sinew. They wrap mattresses and they put them out the window. They spray to kill the bed bugs. They're cleaning and killing until they die themselves. They clean and kill. They are incredibly fantastic, monumental people. They are Jewish mothers. I mean, mine. I mean, they are incredible people.
Well, money was a problem in all your households, wasn't it?
Yes, it was never a problem. It
The
depends
problem
on,
was in defining the coinage,
no, it was,
right?
but
There was no money, so we didn't know what a nickel or,
Well, we were never wealthy, but we never dealt with money. My father would go back and forth between the rabbinate and the grocery business, depending upon which was more lucrative, and he always seemed to be missing out on which one it was. I lived most of my life above the grocery store, and there was an attic that I lived in, and my brother and I slept in the same bed, and there used to be, I think it was raspberries on the wallpaper that I used to see every night. And then one day...
Isn't it funny to look at raspberries and smell herring?
But they used to cheer me up. You know, they used to think that as a kid, as 9 years old, I needed a morale boost. They used to tell me that we were moving, and they'd take off the raspberries and put football players on the wallpaper, really. And I used to come home, and it was like a new house for me. That was everything was on a different level, you know.
Did you have to work for your spending money? Did you have to get delivered
No,
papers?
that's the other thing, is I always seemed to have as much money as I needed. I just never thought about big dates and things like that.
Well, I guess we were all, well, I don't know, I was poor, poverty-stricken, I don't know. But I don't think I realized it when I was a kid.
Did they ever go on welfare? Did they ever go on?
No, I mean, for some reason, there was a level, a threshold of dignity that could not be broken. And going on relief that was it. You could not. There was something irreligious about that.
This, curiously enough, if my mother was watching this, would be the thing that she would be embarrassed by. The fact that I would say that we were poor, even though there's no hang-up about it, you still are, it depends, first generation or second generation Jews. I'm first generation. My mother and father came over from Russia because I was in Canada and there was a later immigration, even though I'm 28 years old. And so what happens is there's still a feeling of always being a stranger in this land, and that never changes. It changed a little bit with me and maybe more with my children, but to my mother and to my family, they are still, don't have their roots into the earth. So that you don't talk about how poor you are, because you want to adjust, even though there's no emphasis on the money.
That's very interesting. Well, you had more money than that, your folks.
Well, my parents were always teachers. I mean, teachers aren't your wealthy citizens. My father taught art in the high schools, and my mother always taught Hebrew. And so, I mean, we had an entirely different lifestyle than
No.
yes. No,
Together?
no.
Listen, if they got together, they could be Chagall, right?
Can I ask you about a myth about many women feel that Jewish men make the best husbands? Is there anything
No
to that?
myth in that. That's stark, naked truth.
Yeah, but they play around a lot, though.
With whom?
Anybody they can.
Oh, no. I think Jewish husbands are constant. Constantly fooling around. It's true. It is true.
No. Is there something to that proposition? And if they make better,
What proposition?
the Jewish husbands make the best, Jewish men make the best husbands?
A myth.
A myth.
A myth, a canard.
A canard.
And a bit of a conundrum at this point. No, why? I mean, at this point, what are we, 68 now?
Because they're.
I mean, some Jewish husbands are terrific and others are short and disgusting.
The proposition has it that they're givers, they're generous, they're buyers.
Nonsense.
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 You're not a giver, a buyer.
No. I give nothing. I buy nothing.
Right.
So, I mean, you can't go by me. I won't take you anywhere.
But has Annie got lovely
Annie makes
presents?
100 a week. She doesn't need anyone.
Would you occasionally just...
Once in a while, I'll go crazy. I'll buy her a pretzel with every bit of salt intact on it. No, I am out of the, I guess, the normal way of a Jewish husband life when we're both in
this business.
in this crazy business. So, but for the normal middle class or upper middle class Jewish husband, I don't see any special higher moral way of behavior.
So it's a myth, a canard, a conundrum, would you say, George?
That Jewish men make the best kind of husbands.
You mean that the myth is that they deliver more?
That they deliver more, that they take anything, I'll buy anything, I'll get you anything.
That's me.
That's you?
Anywhere. I'll take her anywhere. Anywhere she wants to go, I'll take her.
And leave her there. Then I'm going.
David,
Take my wife.
though you haven't taken on the marital bond, do you
Yes.
tend to be generous with members of the opposite sex?
Well, I was thinking more, I think that the myth of Jewish men, I think that happens to be a myth, as does Mel and George, quite obviously, but I think the Jewish princess concept is very active and alive.
What is the Jewish princess?
She's a queen, not a princess.
Well, the Jewish princess is the daughter that's been spoiled and brought up by the parents, and they never quite get out of it, and they expect their husbands to cater to them in the same way that the mother and father did. And they never outgrow that.
It's true. As a matter of fact, it's codified. There are laws and rules
Yes.
governing that. If you meet a Jewish girl and shake her hand, that's dinner. You
Right.
owe her dinner. Huh? if you should take her home after dinner and rub around and kiss in the doorway, right? That's already a small ring, a ruby, something. If, God forbid, anything filthy should happen amongst you, that's marriage and the same grave. Buried. We're buried together, screwed into the earth together. I mean, they do expect a lot for a little fooling around. There is some truth underlying that. It's true.
Why is that? Because
Why is
did their parents say, look, nothing unless he marries you?
Because they said, from the minute they're born, a little Jewish girl, they say, now, Queen Elizabeth, please eat your matzah bride. Please eat another spoonful of sour cream. And you see little Jewish girls with a crown. Don't you ever see a little tiara? Right. I mean, Jewish ladies expect a lot.
For a little.
They do expect a lot. And they deserve a lot. Because they're short-waisted and terrific in bed.
We'll be right back.